There's that cringe video of Meghan and Harry where they are holding hands on a royal engagement and they really want to keep holding hands on that royal engagement. Besides being cringe and a public display of insecurity, there are a couple more things that the gestures reveals about their personalities. Welcome back, my body language buddies. My name is Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy, and it would be great if you join us by just liking this video, subscribing, and hitting that bell. Let's get down to it. This gesture goes hand in hand, pun intended, with that constant touching between them at all times. Now, it's not that touching between couples is something bad or forbidden. In fact, touch is one of the most important manifestations of love, and if you haven't read the book, The 5 Languages of Love, it gives very good insights about how so many people like to receive and give this expression of affection. But as in every kind of communication in public, it's important to keep in mind that your behavior should be adapted to whatever you're doing at any given time. If you're at work, you should behave in a professional way. If you're at the beach, you can be much more relaxed. If you're going out as a couple in private, then you can have more freedom in how you communicate your affection. So I'm really worried about anyone that thinks that these affection displays while working are normal or even cute. Because in these settings, Meghan and Harry were actually working. They were working royals at the time and were at a royal engagement, something that is part of the job. And I'm sure that those people that defend their decision to hold hands, to touch each other in this way in a formal setting, would not do the same if they were going to enter a meeting room with their boyfriend or fiancé or spouse or anything. If you were entering a meeting room to have a formal or work meeting or any kind of negotiation, you would not be holding hands. No matter how much you love your partner, that would look silly and unprofessional to say the least. But the real message that you would be giving and the actual message that Meghan and Harry are giving here is profound insecurity. They are aware that this is not the place or time for public displays of affection or PDAs. And even so, they think they are getting away with something by doing that. My question is, why do they feel compelled to do it in these situations besides trying to show everyone that they cannot live without each other? That last sentence is the main problem. They are at a royal engagement as effectively the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, and they are more focused on public displays of affection than in the task at hand itself. And please don't let me start with the way Meghan just won't allow Harry to have at least some space to interact with the attendants. Notice here how she just stands straight without letting go of his hand, waiting for him to just finish and doesn't have the slightest gesture towards the person he is trying to talk to. So add bad manners to the list. What they are signaling is being unprofessional, not taking their job serious. And we already know that taking the royal job seriously was not on their agenda from the very beginning. There's another problem much more relevant to this. And I'm sure that up to this point in 2022, they haven't figured out yet. You want to bring awareness to your initiatives, to the events that you assist, to the charities you support, or even your business. You absolutely don't want to bring attention to yourself. Even Kim Kardashian knows that. You use your fame and notoriety to bring awareness to whatever you're selling or whatever you want to convince others of doing. This behavior of Meghan and Harry is just bringing attention to themselves. People end up noticing that something is wrong with this too, and precisely video footage will showcase their cringe behavior, and then it will get in the way of their message. Well, not that they are interested in bringing attention to their charities. There's more than enough evidence that they are narcissists and will surely enjoy that the headlines talk about them and not about the events or the charities they assist. But this reveals a deeper problem, and it's that narcissists always crave attention and approval of those around them. Narcissists actually have a deep insecurity about themselves, so they need that constant influx of supply or narcissist fuel to have the tiniest bit of self-confidence in themselves. And they can only get it when people praise them or mention them or they call everybody's attention in any way possible. Sometimes a narcissist notices that they can actually do something impactful for society and get that praise and headlines that they crave. But as time goes by, a narcissist notices that they can get the same attention by just behaving in an odd way. That is a lot easier than actually doing good for society, and they degrade their behavior progressively until they make fool of themselves or even get involved in scandals, just to be mentioned, just to remain current in the minds of their audience. And it fits perfectly with the evolution of what Harry and Meghan have done since that Fab Four Royal Foundation event, where they shared the stage with William and Catherine. It has been less and less about charities and initiatives and more about them as influencers. That's why Meghan ended up on Ellen's show just destroying any hint of reputation she had left, and Harry is willing to take James Corden's job to promote his memoir. It's really sad when you realize all the potential that this young couple had to really make a difference using the whole machinery of the firm, and instead the fame just went right to their heads when they wanted to make a personal business out of the Sussex brand, just to mention one of their strategies. But I think I'm wrong when I say that the fame just went right to their heads. I think the right assessment is that that's exactly what they had thought from day one. And there's a very useful word to describe it: entitlement. Entitlement is when you believe that you deserve something just because. Maybe because you were born into a certain family or certain country or with certain physical characteristics. You think you're entitled to praise or success for no other particular reason. And when you see this kind of displays in narcissists, at first it's difficult to make sense of the paradox. Because when one says narcissism, one immediately thinks of a calm and collected person that is super intelligent and evil at the same time. But the problem is that people confuse narcissism with psychopathy. Not every narcissist is an evil genius. In fact, most narcissists are so self-absorbed that they just don't think through their actions that well, and of course, they absolutely cannot think long-term with whatever they set themselves to. In fact, the more stupid the narcissist, the more public and pathetic will be the displays of insecurity. Because this toxic personality falls in a downward spiral where the only thing that counts is make people talk about you without thinking of the consequences. These signals of insecurity, such as Meghan and Harry holding hands like they are some kind of high school couple, tells you that they did not take these events seriously. That's why it's so important to spot these displays, because that's when you know that someone wants to attract attention just for the sake of attracting attention, especially when you're thinking about doing business with them. Now, every single one of us has a personal brand, and our personal brand is critical for whatever we set ourselves to. But it's paramount to keep focus in what is the goal and lead people to that goal and not to ourselves. And if we are in a professional setting, we should be aware of what are the rules of behavior, which, at least most of the time, is more than enough if you just listen to your common sense. Well, that is if you actually have any kind of common sense. Because when someone desperately craves attention at all costs, they will display creepy quirks like this. Maybe you should think twice before doing any business with them, let alone taking them seriously. If you want to refine your observation skills, all you have to do is download my 100 body language tips right in the description of this video. My name is Enrique Rosas, and it will always be a pleasure, my body language buddies. Much love and bliss.